Welcome to Pod Save America. I'm Jon Favreau.
I'm Jon Lovett.
I'm Dan Pfeiffer.
We just watched the second Republican debate at the Ronald Reagan Library in California, right here in the state of California. That was quite a debate. Quite a debate, guys. If you missed the debate, which I hope you did, here's just a flavor of what it was like.
I think you have more than time to explain your point.
Well, I was interrupted by a lot of people here, and I want to be respectful because I believe these
you
are
weren't
good
respectful
people,
last debate.
but I do not believe in these. We're sitting here in the Reagan Library.
Yes, I wish you
in
did
the
not think it
honor
was
of
midnight
Ronald
in
Reagan's
America.
library. If I may, from one admirer of Ronald Reagan to another, from one admirer of Reagan to another, we cannot sit and violate
4 years ago.
This isn't productive.
I want to hear about that.
Let's have a policy debate.
What's going on?
Let us have a policy debate.
Happy to have that.
Let's have
about their records.
Let's have
Happy to
a
have
policy debate. Yeah. And the right answer
Mr.
is
Ramaswamy,
we need
I have
to
a question
declare
for Vice
independence from
President.
China,
Thank you very
and I will
much.
see that through.
It's worse than I remember.
Excuse, none of you would suck Reagan's cock the way I would. I'd get the job done. I'd get it done.
We should point out that was one of the more exciting parts of the debate.
Yeah, it was a real slog.
General impressions. Dan?
I like him.
We're a little punchy here. It's late at night.
Yeah.
We're tired. We're bored. We're drinking. I don't know what anyone was doing. The moderators, the candidates, it was a giant waste of time, and I was offended as a television viewer and a political professional because I don't know what any of them were doing.
I want to read you a statement about the debate.
Okay.
Tonight's GOP debate was as boring and inconsequential as the first debate, and nothing that was said will change the dynamics of the primary contest being dominated by President Trump. The RNC should immediately put an end to any further primary debates. Agree with the Trump campaign senior advisor, Chris Lesavita.
This is like when somebody reads something from the Unabomber manifesto and it's like, it was the Unabomber. Now how do you feel?
I mean, I haven't agreed with any statement tonight more than that.
Yeah, what a waste of fucking time. We'll get to Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley seemed to have a plan and actually do something while she was standing there for 2 hours.
Again, on Earth 2, yeah, when there was like a when there's like another Republican primary and with the people that were on the
sure,
stage.
No, I don't. I'm not defending it.
Robert Costa, reporter at CBS, tweeted, "Lots of angst tonight among my top GOP sources about this debate. Donors concerned, flurry of texts, questions about where this race goes from here. They wonder, can anybody have a breakout moment? No. The answer is no."
Do you know where it goes from here? Here.
Yeah.
Where we are, where we have been for months with Donald Trump winning easily and no one trying to beat him.
It was wild. Like, there was a little more... They leaned in a little harder on the Trump attacks tonight.
Mm-hmm. On one thing, him not being at the debate, the absolute stupidest thing in the world. Donald Trump was found guilty of fraud yesterday. No one mentioned it. He threatened to kill the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff this weekend.
Didn't come up. Moderator didn't bring it up.
Several of them know personally. Just on a human level. It's really unbelievable. DeSantis went after Trump a little on abortion.
Yeah, let's
for like a sec, but he
for a second.
He said, "I wish he was at the debate to defend his comments."
Right. And their favorite thing, they all go after him on adding to the debt. This is to the Republicans on that stage. The worst sin that Donald Trump committed in 4 years as president is that he was a little profligate.
Yeah. Is that why those people were trying to rip the cops limb from limb? Was it the deficit of the out years? Is that what it was? I didn't know what it was.
So let's go through candidate by candidate. It was a terrible debate. There was nothing. There was nothing really interesting about it.
But keep listening.
But keep listening. Well, we'll get into it. Ron DeSantis. First of all, it took. I counted 16 minutes into the debate for Ron DeSantis to even speak. It didn't even seem like he was there. And then
best 60 minutes he's had in months.
Okay. And then finally he spoke. And this is what he said.
Where's Joe Biden? He's completely missing in action from leadership. And you know who else is missing in action? Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt.
So that was Ron's big moment. What did you guys think about Ron DeSantis tonight, huh?
It's nothing. It's just nothing. This guy.
No one has told him in debate prep to fix the face stuff.
I don't think it's fixable.
Or the voice. You can't fix the face. Can't fix the voice.
Well, none of those. First of all, it's a hard thing. These people in the debate prep with Ron DeSantis, he may not be a person, but maybe they are, and it's a tough thing to bring up. Hey, we think one of our problems is your face and the noises that it makes when it communicates.
Well,
that's a tough thing to fix.
Every single answer he finishes, he just sits there and he gives this weird half grin, half smirking for the camera. It's very uncomfortable.
Well, they're all very rehearsed. His cadence is very rehearsed. Even that Joe Biden line was all very rehearsed. And all of them have this way of speaking in these debates. Tim Scott does it. Vivek does it. Ron DeSantis does it. Nikki Haley does it. They all do it, which is this kind of like 90s style sentences like, we're going to take them down and go up to the top, and they want us to give up. Well, we're not going to give in, and you can't surrender because of my strength, and we're going to have victory, not victimhood. And
we're going to turn up the heat and turn this
America around. And see, that was one that worked, which I'm really glad you brought it up. That's a good example of how it can work. Famously, in Iowa in 2007, 16 years ago, before the iPhone, it was a really good moment.
I think you are correct that a lot of them do that, but DeSantis is the worst. There's like way too much alliteration. All of it sound canned. Like Trump's attack on DeSantis is that he is of Washington, he's part of the swamp, and everyone's like, well, that's weird because he's like governor of Florida. But he sounds like a Washington. No one on that stage sounds like except maybe Mike Pence, sounds like a Washington politician more than Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, and it is really effective too, because all Ron DeSantis wants to do is sit in a room and work really hard on the sentence he's going to use to rebut the argument that he pre-plans everything he says and sounds like an automaton, and he can't get out of it.
And he just his strategy tonight was he kept going after the DC elites. Like someone must have told him you got to get your outsider status back. So he every single answer he hit the DC elites. What was that?
You know
all
who
about?
people don't think is a DC elite? Donald Trump.
Right.
This is true of every single person. Donald Trump is up by 30 points in Iowa and 30 points in New Hampshire. But in the CBS poll that came out yesterday, 80% of the voters in both of those states are open to someone other than Trump. And no one tried to do anything about that dynamic.
Because I think they don't know why that many people are open to someone besides Trump. Like they haven't figured out.
They haven't tried. They haven't tried a single argument.
Yeah, they haven't.
The idea
he
that
spent too much money.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't think any of them want to win. Or they think that they've decided they can't win, and they're trying to just land the plane of their failing campaign in a way that maximizes their position in a Trump Republican Party.
Or they believe that nothing they can do can change the fundamentals of this race, so they want to be there as the first among fucking duds in case something changes in the criminal process, in the race that's outside of their control.
Unless he dies. That's it. They're just waiting in case he dies. They want to be there. I think there's no other reason really.
I mean, the trial's not starting until after all the delegates are allocated.
Right.
At the most optimistic case.
I mean, do we think a conviction at this point would sway the Republican electorate?
I think if these people knew what would sway the Republican electorate, they'd be doing it.
Also, by the way, as they're all doing this, Donald Trump earlier, we're going to play a clip of his speech in a bit, but a part of his speech in Detroit, he said that none of the people running he would pick as vice president. Said it tonight right before the debate.
It's incredible. These people are picking these little fights with each other. Tim Scott's going after Nikki Haley's going after Vivek. Vivek is going after Christie. Meanwhile, Trump's in South Carolina. But you hear about this? These whales are dying. Up by 40 fucking points. Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. A Republican consultant who is supporting Ron DeSantis said to Semaphore before the debate, if he doesn't do well here, in my opinion, he's got to drop out if he doesn't want to be embarrassed. Do you think he did well enough not to drop out?
I think that's a time machine question.
Yeah, he was. I will say this about Ron DeSantis. He was better than last debate, but he still sucked. He still was not like the best at this debate.
As long as he's Ron DeSantis, he's going to suck. He doesn't. It's not there. He does not have
And
it.
I think part of his problem was he and we'll talk about Nikki Haley next, but she's sort of stealing the mantle of the non-Trump alternative from him, or at least that field has become too crowded now, and Ron DeSantis does not look like he is in second. Like, look, according to polls, he's still second place nationally, and depending on which early state poll you look at in early states, but he certainly didn't act like that or seem like that on the stage tonight.
Yeah, that's sort of what I mean though when I say that I feel like, it's not going to do anything, but at least it seems like she had some sort of goal for what she was going to do in the debate. I do think she's taken that mantle. I think she was the feisty in a way that Christie wasn't, right? Like, I think she actually was the only one to do something with that time.
Let's hear some of Nikki Haley's feistiness from tonight.
And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say. Because I can't believe Ron DeSantis is against fracking. He's against drilling. He's been against, you did it. He always talks about what happens on day one. You better watch out, because what happens on day two is when you're in trouble. I appreciate Tim. We've known each other a long time, but he's been there 12 years and he hasn't done any of that.
Literally
Bring it,
put
Tim.
$50,000 on curtains.
On the curtains, do your homework, Tim, because Obama bought those curtains.
Did you send them back?
It's in the press.
Did you send them back?
Did you get a gift receipt for those fucking curtains or not, Nikki? They take the credit. They'll take the credit.
The curtains exchange was one of the dumbest exchanges of an otherwise very dumb debate.
Yeah, two people in single digits in the polls arguing each other over a curtain purchase from the State Department in 2017.
Literally, that's what that was about. The beginning of that clip, when she said, I am dumber every time I hear you speak, was about Vivek Ramaswamy, which was, I wanted to cheer when she said that. I think because he is extremely annoying. But I think, so she was feisty, sort of went after a bunch of other candidates, but I also think that her answers were just solid answers. She seemed like she commanded the stage more than almost anyone else. Again, I don't.
Just
I'm
on
not,
a low
she's
bar.
not in
Yeah.
danger
Come on,
of
Dan.
becoming the Republican
Come on, Dan.
at all.
Come on,
At
Dan.
all.
Tell us what you liked about Nikki Haley.
Yes, she commanded the stage more than Doug Burgum. You are correct. What?
I'll go after
to
my
the
boy
extent
Doug.
that she has a plan, and I agree she has a plan. It's not a plan to win, but she.
What is it? What is it a plan? to
Well,
do?
it is a plan.
I'm curious.
Yeah. What she is doing, Nate Cohn, I thought, wrote about this very smartly in the New York Times this morning, is she's appealing to a faction of Republicans. She is appealing to specifically to the non-Trump vote. She's not doing it by attacking Trump, but she's trying to be the normal Bush-like Republican, traditional Republican. DeSantis' problem is he has no constituency because he's trying to just be a worse version of Trump, and the Trump voters are very happy with Trump, so why would they do that? Nikki Haley and that may be why she goes after Tim Scott, because Tim Scott is her competition for that lane.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think she genuinely hates Vivek. That was sincere.
Yeah.
That's the only moment of sincerity on there. And I think that's one thing that brought them all together, and maybe America.
Yeah, because there was a moment when they've all got sort of Oppo research on Vivek. They've got these Oppo files that they've just been waiting to use. There was reports that some of them were going to use them in the last debate, specifically Ron DeSantis because his super PAC put
they're
that
flooding
memo
their
out.
torpedo tubes.
Right, yeah. And some of it has to do with business in China. I don't know. They all hate China. That's all they talked about all night. When one of them attacked him on China, suddenly 4 different candidates on stage were just China this, China that, China. They all jumped on Vivek.
I also dislike China. Yes, that was also something I was going to do. That's something that Mike Pence was going to do.
I don't. He likes China. He has a history with China. I don't.
I'd like to interrupt to say that was something that I was going to also say. That was something I planned to do about now. And I'm going to do it now. Am I doing it? I'm not doing it now. Got it.
Vivek Ramaswamy, who I think in the first debate, I was he's extremely annoying, but maybe there's the part of the Republican base that likes Donald Trump would like what Vivek Ramaswamy is selling. Tonight, I cannot imagine why any human being of any political persuasion would enjoy spending any time with Vivek Ramaswamy. He's the most annoying.
Yeah, here was my takeaway.
Smarmy.
I missed the first debate because I was on vacation, and that was my time. And you couldn't have it. So this was my first time seeing him in this kind of a forum, and it is a testament to the fucking charisma vacuum, don't have it, automaton losers that are on that stage that anyone thinks this guy has any charisma. He and Ron DeSantis are from the same mold. They have the same style. They have the same appealing way of explaining things to you, and I don't get it.
Yeah, he's less robotic than DeSantis, but just as annoying, maybe more.
He's
so.
annoying in a different way.
Different way, just like smarmy know-it-all kind of way.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna play the clip, but there was the moment where he was talking about how I'm here to listen.
Let's listen to that Vivek line about wanting to be a better listener.
I'm here to tell you, no, I don't know it all. I will listen. I will have the best people, the best and brightest in this country, whatever age they are, advising me. We will be probably many of the people on this stage included.
There must be some feedback they're getting about how unappealing and kind of mansplaining this guy is.
I think there was a thought, because he really did dominate the stage the last time. He was the only person who drove a narrative, who he got most of the speaking time. People were responding to him, which felt completely out of nowhere, given the fact that most of Americans had never seen him before that moment. And I think there was a sense that, is he going to be the breakout candidate from this debate? And he did not. He's actually, I think, lost a little bit of ground since the debate, the national polling average. And I am positive from having watched this that their focus groups say that people found him annoying and pretentious. And he went into this debate.
People, I guess those voters were correct.
I mean, the voters are not always
sometimes the voters.
And he went in this debate with a plan to try to sand down the edges of that annoyingness, which is why he did not. When people came after him, that's why he, instead of fighting back as he did last time, he was just like Ronald Reagan, 11th Commandment, policy debate, and then he did that completely rehearsed routine about saying that he would listen to people and get advice from older people and all of this.
Do you think that his polls might be affected by the fact that he has the hairstyle of your third pick for a DJ for a bar mitzvah?
His hair gets bigger with every debate.
What the fuck is that?
He
I didn't really land that joke.
just
Kind of got stuck in the middle. Leave it in. I don't care.
this
is free.
He had a lot. He talked a lot about kids in social media. It was a big problem of his.
That's his response.
I'm gonna book him on offline. So.
That's his response to being on TikTok. He's the only Republican candidate on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
And so he's gotten a lot of crap for that.
He's also talked about getting drugs on Snapchat.
Yeah,
There's a fentanyl baby. Yeah.
One just small, somewhat serious point, which is it is really despicable that Dana Perino decided that one thing she wanted to get out of this debate was some kind of pledge from each of the candidates to pass a federal law to require, I guess, teachers and school nurses to out kids to parents if those kids come to those teachers and tell them that they're gay or trans or non-binary, what have you, that's what she viewed as a really interesting and exciting way to make the most of this debate, to get some kind of yes or no answer on this sort of bigoted question.
She pegged the question off an answer that Christie gave to Stuart Varney, one of the co-moderators, just last week, which is wild.
And it's the only question that she followed up on 12 times. She tried to pin Doug Burgum down repeatedly on it.
That's what she thinks is the most important thing she can do on this forum, is try to shift the Republican Party to the right on the issue of trans
that's
and,
giving her
and
a lot
gay
of
kids.
That's giving her, I think, more credit than she deserves on having any kind of strategy, because all three moderators just were bowled over by the candidates. They were interrupted all the time. They couldn't get a word in. It was wild. It's wild. Today's presenting sponsor is Simply Safe Home Security. Do your kids play any fall sports? Yeah, Charlie plays trucks.
Lizette can't really move.
She doing water polo yet?
She's we're clapping. She's learned how to clap.
That's a sport.
Thank you.
When everyone's at the game, it's great to have Simply Safe's new 24/7 Live Guard protection securing your home. It's an incredible innovation that helps stop crime in real time. Now, Simply Safe's professional monitoring agents can see, speak to, and deter intruders through the new Smart Alarm indoor camera, warning them that the police are on the way. Our other child, Jon Lovett, he has Simply Safe.
He does. Set it up himself.
Yeah, he sure did. And it's protecting him and Pundit as we speak. 24/7 Live Guard protection is made possible by the new Smart Alarm wireless indoor camera and is available with the Fast Protect monitoring plan. The new Smart Alarm indoor camera is the only indoor security camera that can trigger the alarm and instantly deter intruders with a built-in siren. It has a physical privacy shutter to provide protection when you need it and privacy when you want it. Install Simply Safe your way. Do it yourself in about 30 minutes or have a Simply Safe expert set it up for you. Either way, it's easy to protect your home. Right now, Pod Save America listeners can get a special 20% off any Simply Safe system when you sign up for a free month trial of Fast Protect monitoring. This special offer is for a limited time only. Visit simplysafe.com/crooked. That's simplysafe.com/crooked. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Pod Save America is brought to you by Beam. Did you know that poor sleep can cause weight gain, mood issues, poor mental health, and lower productivity? I do, and that's why I started taking Beam.
Beam Dream.
Beam Dream. You don't want to sleep less than 6 to 7 hours per night. You can get all sorts of problems with that. Sleep is the foundation of our mental and physical health and performance in our days. Having a consistent nighttime routine is non-negotiable, and that's why we use Beam Dream. Today, our listeners can get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, their best-selling health hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar, now available in delicious flavors like sea salt caramel, cinnamon cocoa, and chocolate peanut butter. Better sleep has never tasted better. Dream contains a powerful all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, melatonin, and my favorite, nano CBD, to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. A recent clinical study revealed Dream helped 93% of users wake up feeling more refreshed, and 93% reported that Dream helped them get a more restful night's sleep. Just mix Beam Dream into hot water or milk, stir or froth, and enjoy before bedtime. I use Beam Dream, and I just woke up.
Sleeping Beauty, but he's been out for 7 years. It's delicious. It's very tasty. I think come for the flavor, stay for the snoozing.
Stay for the Z's.
That's right.
If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/crooked and use code crooked at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/crooked and use code crooked for up to 40% off. Pod Save America is brought to you by Helix. If you're looking for better sleep, you need to upgrade your mattress with Helix. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe Collection, the newly released and high-end Helix Elite Collection, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids, which Charlie has and sleeps on every night, and he loves it. Take the Helix Sleep Quiz and find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes, and it ships straight to your door free of charge. They even offer a 100-night trial and a 10 to 15-year warranty to try out your new Helix mattress. If you're a side sleeper, which I am, choose a model with memory foam layers to provide optimal pressure relief. There are also models with a more responsive foam to cradle your body for essential support in stomach and back sleeping positions. Plus, check out enhanced cooling features to keep you from overheating while you sleep. It's no wonder Helix has over 12,000 five-star reviews. Love Helix. Like I said, we have a kids mattress for Charlie. We have one in our guest room. Tommy, I know you guys have one in your
guest room, bedroom Helix mattress too. It's great.
All of our parents have tried it. They all love it. It's great. Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/crooked. That's helixsleep.com/crooked. This is their best offer yet, and it won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. Let's talk about Chris Christie, Lovett's pal. Mm-hmm. I think we said in the first debate, he didn't sort of take all the opportunities he had to really go after Donald Trump. His first question to him, here's what he said in this debate.
And you're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
Love it. I think that was a great line that you gave him. I don't know what everyone's talking about. I think you did a...
Yeah, I mean, look, it was sort of like we did it. It was sort of like how the correspondence there. We kind of worked on it together. Some of it was his. I don't remember if it was Donald Duck thing was mine or it was his. We kind of went back and forth. But that's our partnership. Yeah. It's sort of like just stalled. No one has ever been so close to landing a plane on a beautiful and clear day and then exploded right on the runway. Again. It was a great moment, and then it lands on Donald fucking Duck. What's going on?
Who are in these debate prep sessions with Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, all of them?
Donald Duck.
And he has, the Donald Duck line. They're all like, yeah, sir, that's great. Do the Donald Duck line. That's what?
I mean, before we came in here, I decided to do a little prep. So I clicked on a news article from NBC News that was 6 takeaways from the debate. And one, number 3 was Chris Christie got Donald Duck trending on Twitter.
It was the thing about it was a good moment for him too. We were all like, "Oh, this is a good moment. This was a good hit."
Yeah,
we're like, "Here we go."
He had some energy.
How does it end?
Early in the debate,
he's looking at the camera. It was like, all right, now that's the Chris Christie that I fell in love with. That's the Chris Christie from my younger days.
It was just, yeah. Then he had another. He hit Trump for not building the wall. He said, said he was going to build the wall and have Mexico pay for it, but he only built 52 miles, and if Mexico knew it had only been 52 miles, maybe they would have paid for it, which is like...
It's on its way to something.
It's on its way.
Is it 2017? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's
again, just cut to an insurrectionist being like, only 52 miles?
Tim Scott got his note from the last debate was, you didn't say anything, you were too quiet, so you got to make your case.
Sir, we've looked at some of the crosstabs after your performance in the first debate. And our view is just strategically, we think you should speak. And obviously that may not help. We're not confident that speaking will have as much of an effect as we'd like, but it's the only thing we can do on a debate stage.
He did speak. He did speak a lot more of this debate, but Tim Scott kind of did I'm going to give different parts of my stump speech.
Yeah.
You know, and someone obviously told him, you know, you're lean on your personal story. That's where you're inspiring your hope message, all that kind of stuff. So he sort of did a lot of rhetoric around there, but often it didn't make sense with the question that was asked to him. And I don't know.
To no end. It's to no end. Why are you running for president? I still don't know.
Well, he got the first question, which was about the economy, and I literally looked at my computer, looked up, and he was talking about fentanyl on the border. I was like, what
Yeah,
happened?
he did that a lot. A lot of them just sort of pivoted to another question or topic that they wanted to talk about.
And not to topics that might be easy or more conducive to a good moment for them. There was one moment where Dana Perino's best moment was, I think it was Pence, who went on some tangent, and she's like, I believe the question was about healthcare.
Yeah, it was about healthcare, and his answer was, I would pursue the federal death penalty for anyone involved in a mass shooting.
Expedited death penalties for
death
mass
penalty.
shootings.
Yeah, that'll do
That's
it.
healthcare. That's his healthcare plan.
Yep. Hey, why didn't we think of that?
So Mike Pence was at the debate.
Mm-hmm.
He tested out some jokes again. He had one terribly lame line about, you know, Joe Biden shouldn't be on the picket line. He should be on the unemployment line. And
Pause
no
for
one
applause.
laughed. No one laughed.
Pause for laughter. Didn't come.
Mike Pence's problem is like no one in the audience, not a lot of Mike Pence fans out there. A lot of Mike Pence, we should hang him people, but
Yeah.
not a lot of Mike
Yeah,
Pence
a
fans.
lot of people want to hang, but not with. He's struggling with the with.
So at one point, Christie's talking about teachers unions, and he's railing against teachers unions.
Speaking of railing.
Well,
Yeah, go on.
So, and then a really sort of gross attack on Joe Biden. He says, oh, well, Joe Biden's sleeping with a member of the teachers union because Dr. Joe Biden, the first lady of the United States, is a teacher and a member of a teachers union.
I don't think it's that gross. That man fucks his wife. What's the problem?
Well, it's just like, it's the first lady, and you're just like, hey, sleeping with a member of the teachers union. I know you're a Christie fan.
First lady, what? Listen. This is we're gonna be
whatever comes next is gonna be edited out.
I think if more people thought Joe Biden was fucking Jill Biden, maybe these age problems wouldn't be as big of a deal in the polls.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay, that's a fair point.
Thank you.
Anyway, well, Mike Pence heard that and said, I got to get on this. So here...
I mean, in the debate. Jesus. What are you talking about? You sound crazy.
Well, let's listen to what he said.
Chris, you mentioned the president's situation. My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And
Mike.
I feel...
You know what? Great.
Great?
This is great. Look at these people. They're being sex positive on a debate stage? That's unprecedented.
Unbelievable. And then we finally come to Doug Bergen. My guy, Doug. He was wild. I don't know what else to say about him. He like interrupted a lot. Again, someone must have told him, sir, you didn't speak much last debate. So he just like interrupted on every single question, but he didn't answer the question. He just like said something else. At one point he like interrupted to say the strike is happening because Joe Biden's interference in capital markets.
And it was like, he kept doing this thing of like, I'm sorry, but I just have to interrupt to say what nobody's willing to say. A different version of what you've all been saying.
Just to wrap this up, one of Dana Perino's last question, I think it was her last question, was a little wild. Here's what she asked for to wrap up the debate.
If you all stay in the race, former President Donald Trump wins the nomination. None of you have indicated that you're dropping out. So, which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island?
I vote Donald Trump off the island right now.
That was it. That was
There was a process by which they came up with this idea. They ran it by large groups of people, and it made it to the debate stage.
And you know what? Like Chris Christie, he gave it the old college try.
He had to be called out because he did not volunteer it. Stuart Varney had to come back to him later and say, I saw you writing something down. What did you write down?
No, this was, so you have to understand. So what happens is Dana Perino starts this question, and as Reed pointed out before we recorded, it's on its way to actually an important point, which is, if you all stay in the race, Donald Trump is the nominee. None of you can, if all of you are here, none of you can succeed. What is the process by which any one of you is going to be the one to take on Trump?
And she also said, like, and you're all down like 40 points. Does anyone have a strategy to win?
But then she turns it to this, now writes someone's name down, and gave Ron DeSantis his best and most human moment of the night, which is like, I'm not going to do that. That's not fair. Everybody put on suits. And then,
when I would have simply said
Doug Burgum. But what's funny is as that's happening, Chris Christie's writing down a name, and he's like, I agree. We shouldn't be writing down any names.
And he's like, you, Governor Christie, you've written something down. Tell us.
No, I didn't. I didn't write it. I wrote down terrorism. I wrote down Chinese communists. I wrote down whatever you think I needed to write down. I didn't write down one of these people's names, not Doug Burgum, not this freak Doug Burgum who has no business being here.
Yeah, and then he said, Donald Trump shouldn't be on the island and blah, blah, blah. And then someone interrupted him, Vivek again.
Yeah, Vivek came in.
He was like, I think Trump was great. I love Donald Trump.
And then they're like, that's it. That's how we're ending up.
Which actually was, it was. So you guys think this debate moves the needle at all for anyone? Maybe Nikki Haley creeps up a little bit. Maybe she captures some of that.
She gets to the tweens.
Some of that Ron DeSantis, some of the Ron DeSantis voters go to Nikki.
Yeah,
maybe some of the Tim Scott voters, maybe some of the Mike Pence, the two Mike Pence voters.
Let me hold on. Let me get myself on a cable news panel for a second. You ready for a second? Ready for this?
Yeah. Let's
look.
Do it.
I think you know who won this debate tonight? Donald Trump.
It's the titles for Dan's message box tomorrow. Why'd you steal it?
now I gotta rewrite it.
Anyway, all right. Let's talk about Donald Trump.
Sure.
Who is the likely Republican nominee at this point? Fuck. He was at he gave a speech in Detroit. He tried to counter-program the debate. He made a big deal about going to speak to auto workers and workers in Detroit and blah, blah, blah. Turns out he spoke at a non-union shop, was invited by management. They make car parts. Unclear if there doesn't seem like there was any UAW workers in the crowd. Certainly it was unclear if there would be. And basically he gave this speech, it was his typical bullshit, but he was really, really thirsty for the endorsement of the UAW during the speech. Let's listen.
But your leadership should endorse me, and I will not say a bad thing about them again, and they will have done their job. If they endorse me, they will have the easiest labor leadership job anywhere in the country. If you could speak to Sean, he's listening right now, I'm sure. Sean, endorse Trump, and you can take a nice 2-month vacation, come back, and you guys are going to be better than you ever were.
So here's what Sean Fain, the head of the UAW, had to say.
I find a pathetic irony that the former president is going to hold a rally for union members at a non-union business. I see no point in meeting with him because I don't think the man has any bit of care about what our workers stand for, what the working class stands for. He serves a billionaire class, and that's what's wrong with this country.
So there you have it.
So I guess you're saying there's a chance.
Really thirsty. The Detroit News was there, and they interviewed some people in the crowd. One person in the crowd had a sign that said "Union members for Trump." They interviewed her, and she said she was not a union member. And then another person had a sign that said "Auto workers for Trump," and they interviewed him, and he said he was not an auto worker.
This is encouraging their fellow auto workers to be for Trump.
That's true.
That's not as malicious as you suggest.
What'd you guys think of the Trump speech?
There's plenty to make fun of. I think that it's interesting watching Trump speak and then go into that debate. He is trying to make this argument to try to peel off some share of Biden voters in these states, and I think we should take it seriously. The argument that basically, EVs are bad for the Midwest, EVs are bad for unions, EVs are bad for American workers, especially when one of the arguments that UAW is making is the fact that a lot of these battery plants aren't union, that this shift to electric vehicles could mean fewer union shops in the United States. It is a real and serious argument that could resonate with people, even if Trump is the worst messenger for it and was an incredibly anti-union, anti-worker, anti-middle class president.
So I think the question is, like, how do Democrats and Biden make sure that he doesn't get away with that?
That's a great question.
So can we fly another drink in for Dan?
Lovett's point is you have to wade through. We watched the whole speech, which no one else is going to do. And
it was on Newsmax only.
Yes.
And by the way,
so you all know.
And by the way, midway through on Newsmax, they did a picture-in-picture of a fucking fundraiser for Rudy Giuliani's legal defense.
Put a picture
fund.
of him up there. Looked like he was dead.
Yeah, when he dies, they just cross it out and write memorial fund.
Yeah, they alternated between that picture and then please buy a gold coin.
Yeah.
Just buy gold, and if you buy gold, you'll get. It said "Take control of your finances." It was the slogan for the gold company. Physical gold. They make it very clear. It's physical gold.
Yeah.
Bob Menendez called him up.
No, that's how he's going to pay for his legal defense.
But if you watch the whole speech, there's a ton of insanity in there. But buried in there, which is what most people will see, either through clips that are shared or more likely in the billions of dollars of ads that Trump's campaign and Republican super PACs air, is a very potent grievance message targeted at workers who've been left behind in this economy. Now, Trump doesn't mention that he is someone who was the most anti-worker president in American history, who passed a tax cut that most of the benefits went to the rich and encouraged and led to the more offshoring of American jobs, who got rid of overtime pay for 8 million Americans, costing them more than $1 billion in wages. So he has a record there, but what we have to take very seriously is he is speaking in a language of populism that works in an environment where people are very unhappy. And all of the polling shows that we are in a very fertile environment for that sort of economic nationalism and populism. If it doesn't match up to his record, obviously, but the only people who are going to make sure that that is known is us, right? It's Democrats and people who want to defeat Trump. The press isn't going to do it. It's not going to happen on its own. We're going to have to make that case to fight back against it and also speak to those concerns ourselves with our rhetoric. We can't just simply be, look at everything not that Joe Biden is doing this, but look at everything we've done. Let me just read to you some of the subsections of the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah.
Even though all that stuff is really good, there is a tremendous discontent. And I think it says something about sort of the populist moment we're in, is that the Republican candidates were afraid to criticize striking union members.
With the exception of Tim Scott, who was like, yeah, you're asking for too much. That's all. That's what I have to say.
But even he walked away from his own.
Yeah.
But all of them up there, and Trump in particular, in a different environment, in a different moment, the Republican Party would be attacking union thugs and bosses, and why are they out there? And they'll say the union members are misleading the rest of the workers, but they all looked at that with such trepidation. And that is a moment that Democrats should own. A moment of worker empowerment, a fight for higher wages. That is us, and Trump is trying to co-opt it, and we're going to have to fight really hard not to let that happen.
I also think you can just tell he's just so much more comfortable in the role of challenger than he was as incumbent, right? Because his whole message, people call him like a feral genius, but it's not. It's pretty easy.
Who calls him that?
All the annoying people on this kind of stuff. But his message is easy, and it always has been. It's like the establishment is awful. Everything's fucked up. I'm the guy who can fix it. I do good deals, and aren't you annoyed with what the elites and everyone in Washington has done to this country? Aren't you pissed? And I'm the vessel for your anger, right? Like that was his shtick in 2016, and it was complicated in 2020 because he was fucking president for 4 years, and people didn't like what they saw generally. But now he can be like, oh, well, I know everyone has, really short memories, so forget about those 4 years. You're pissed now, and I'm the guy that's going to go after the establishment. That's what he's trying to do. And so I think that you're right, which is you can't fight that by being like, no, everyone's wrong. Things are great. What you have to do is just, as we've said a million times, like turn it into a choice. If he becomes president again, this is what he's going to do.
And hold him responsible for the problems he is claiming to be the one he can solve.
And he will get us right back into them. I mean, we just gotta, that's why like every time, and it's also why Donald Trump doesn't ever talk about a second term agenda. All he talks about is like, you're pissed about that? I'm going to fix it when I get in there. It was great when I was president. I'm going to fix it again. But like, he's not laying out any fucking second term agenda because he knows that his policies are unpopular.
Right, and where they are signaling anything around his agenda, it is a lower corporate tax rate to get that out there and to just sort of shore up those interests and remind everybody that I'm going to talk kooky on the stump, but you can count on me when the chips are down.
So Joe Biden, earlier than Trump, like the day before, did go and become the first U.S. president to ever join a picket line, and he joined striking auto workers in Detroit. Here's a little sound from his visit.
You guys, the UAW, you saved the automobile industry back in 2008 and before. Made a lot of sacrifices, gave up a lot, and the companies were in trouble. But now they're doing incredibly well. And guess what? You should be doing incredibly well too. You deserve what you've earned, and you've earned a hell of a lot more than you're getting paid now.
Pretty big deal that he joined a picket line.
Yeah, real fuck you to the writers, but been out there for months. Okay. What, you don't like Suits? You don't think the Suits people should get a taste of this Netflix action?
Joe Biden should have come to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And just hung out outside Netflix.
Yeah.
Just like.
Yeah. I think that these room minimums.
I think it's great that he went. I think it's a big deal. It was like that's where he should be, both physically, but also like that's the best message, right? That he's going to be the guy who's fighting for workers. And it doesn't have to be. Part of the message is, here's the things I've done over the last 4 years, but a big part of the message is, and this is why I'm going to keep fighting. And if you put me back in the White House and you give me a Democratic majority, we're going to keep fighting for workers. Here's the proof that we've been trying, and we're going to keep going, and these Republicans are going to sell you out. And they had the Biden campaign ran an ad today, like hitting Trump for being a fake populist, which is great. And so it's the right message, I think.
I also think just like we're watching this debate and they all just go back to like, where's Joe Biden? He's in the basement. It's like, hey man, everybody's watching the news. He just got back from a foreign trip. He's at the UAW. He's not in his basement.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
God Save America is brought to you by Rocket Money. If you have no idea just how much you're spending each month, you need Rocket Money. It's this great app that tracks all of your expenses so you know exactly where your money is going. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Most people think they're spending $80 on their subscriptions, when in reality, the number is closer to $200. Woof. When you've signed up for so many things like streaming services you use to watch one show or free trials for delivery you don't use, it's so easy to lose track of what you're paying for. Rocket Money lets you monitor all your expenses in one place, recommends custom budgets based on your past spending, and they'll even send you notifications when you've reached your spending limits. With over 3 million users and counting, Rocket Money customers have saved an average of $720 per year. Stop wasting money on things you don't use, cancel your unwanted subscriptions, and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/crooked. That's rocketmoney.com/crooked, rocketmoney.com/crooked. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Talk about a time in your life when racing thoughts were keeping you up at night. Last night, John. Last night I woke up at 3 a.m. I was like, oh no, it's only 3. I thought it was maybe 4:35.
That's the worst.
Oof. You ever waking up so often in the middle of the night that once in a while you don't? And like that, the pathetic feeling of relief when you realize you slept through the night because it's such an anomaly.
And for me, through the night is I see 5 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I did it. I got to 5.
6 a.m. is the new noon.
Yeah, no, we're doing great.
Do you ever find that
Hollywood? What's your dream?
Do you ever find that just as you're trying to fall asleep, your brain suddenly won't stop talking? Do your thoughts start racing right before bed or at other inopportune moments? It turns out one great way to make those racing thoughts go away is to talk them through. Therapy gives you a place to do that so you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
No bike lane for negative thought cycles.
It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Therapy's great. Everyone should be in therapy. It helps. You can talk to someone. It makes you feel better after you go. It's great. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/PSA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PSA. One other thing happened, Dan, that you alluded to at the top of the show. Yesterday, a New York State Supreme Court justice ruled that Donald Trump committed fraud by exaggerating his wealth and the value of his assets on financial forms. Basically, Trump and his companies used the false information they got better terms on loans, insurance rates, taxes, and this happened. This was a summary judgment from a judge. This is all before the fraud trial actually begins. It is slated for this fall, but now the trial basically focuses on how big of a fine Trump will pay, what the punishment will actually be, if the ruling stands, basically the Attorney General's office, Letitia James, is seeking $250 million in penalties, and the judge could bar, and may likely bar, Donald Trump and his sons from running any business in New York. Should this have any? Do you think this will have any effect on anyone? Do you think anyone wants to? Anyone's going to be swayed by the fact that the guy who wants to be president was just found liable for fraud, can't do business anymore, was just lying about his net worth?
No one watching the Republican debate because no one mentioned it. No one thought it was the fact that the guy is running to be in charge of the federal budget and he was just accused of fraud. Seems like a relevant piece of information you could share with voters. I mean, just to add a little more detail here about like how big a deal this is, as we've talked about before, your Attorney General Letitia James charged Trump with these crimes that was headed to trial. She filed a motion that said the evidence of Trump's fraud is so obvious it's not even worth having the trial over. Like, just look at it. It's so clear. Like, there's not even a shadow of a doubt that he is guilty of fraud. So let's just rule on that right now so we can get to the business of penalizing him for the fraud that is so obvious. And that is what happened. I mean, it is David K. Johnson, who was a very well-known tax writer for the New York Times, was on Twitter, and he suggested that this could likely end with New York State repossessing Trump's properties, including his apartment in Trump Tower, which is the part he still owns, potentially parts of Mar-a-Lago. I mean, it's like, it is.
And there's, of course, like, Eric Trump and Donald Trump, too, in his statement. They were like, whoa, the judge said that Mar-a-Lago was worth this much and that couldn't be. And what really happened here is, like, when Trump wanted to lower his taxes, he would claim a low valuation for a property. When he wanted to get cheap loans, he would inflate the valuation. So basically what he was doing is he was just changing the valuation depending on whether he wanted loans or whether he wanted to pay lower taxes. And not everyone gets to do that.
But some of this wasn't just subjective, like how much is Mar-a-Lago worth? He lied about things like the square footage of various apartments, right? These are things that don't change. Yeah, I do like the. Do
you think Biden should does the Biden campaign do anything with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they don't have to do it right now, but over the course of time, it's a bit like, I think that a core part of their message is going to be about that we don't want to return to the chaos and corruption of Trump, and you're going to have to make that case, and a judge finding him guilty of fraud for inflating his assets by $2 billion seems relevant.
After a jury in New York found him liable for raping E. Jean Carroll?
It is, like, part of it is that Trump is not in this for you. He's in it for himself and his rich friends. And this is a piece of evidence to that, right?
That is key, because during his speech today, he was like, Joe Biden, Crooked Joe, is just out there enriching himself because he makes up stories about how, Biden, China money and all that kind of stuff. So he said that, he's like, but I'm in it to help you, because he knows.
He said, I'm in it to enrich you, not myself.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, I didn't need to do this. I was having so much fun living my life, and I just did this for you. Now I'm getting the shit kicked out of me, but now I'm here. I could have done something else. Meanwhile,
look, you're doing it to stay out of fucking jail, man.
Well, now that's the thing. I'd say, look, one thing that comes across, I think was true in the Meet the Press interview. It was true in the rally that we watched. He's running. The threat of prison hangs over him, sharpens the senses.
Yeah. It's made him a little more disciplined in his message.
It has. But I will say, there's political implications for the fact that they just found that we can go right to the damages phase for the fact that he's a fraud. Sure. They're coming for his money. And he's been lying about his worth this whole time. And that has to be genuinely terrifying for him. Yeah. There's a real threat that before he can ever get back to power, and even if he does become president, whatever, that he doesn't have the ability to use politics to stop these people from taking his apartment, from taking his wealth, from forcing him to actually confront what his actual net worth is. Like, that is
the only way out is winning.
I honestly think that, if he had to choose between being rich and wearing a jumpsuit, right? Like going to jail and coming out rich, or losing all that he has, I don't think that's a close call for him.
I don't think he wants either.
Well, who would? In fairness.
But no, and look, I should say he's a little more disciplined. He's also still talking about windmills and whales and confusing Jeb Bush and all that kind of stuff.
But, yeah, that's also true. That's also part of it. He really.
But
the whales thing.
He's sort of got the 16 message, which is me against the establishment on behalf of you, right? That was sort of the message, and it was all bullshit and stuff like that. But that's what he did in 16, and then in 20 he was sort of like in a rabbit hole of fucking right-wing YouTube comments.
Yeah, and sort of
conspiracies.
fascistic flourishes.
right.
This was a bit more like the speech today was a bit more sort of a clean. The parts that were the message around the working class basically take that kind of broader message that he was doing for a long time, and he basically says like, I have been fighting for years to take on the elites on behalf of the working class, which is a change, and which
Yeah.
I would just to understand the environment that this is happening in. This is a much, much, much more fertile political environment for Trump's message than it was in 2016. 2016, economy was doing fine. People weren't particularly grumpy. Trump largely won because of complacency, in a sense that things were fine after 8 years of Obama. Now there's a Pew poll that came out a couple of weeks ago that it's part of their regular series that looks at how people's feelings on the political system in this country, and the percentage of people who hate both parties, highest in history. People who are exhausted and frustrated by politics, highest in history. People who think politics are corrupt and politicians are corrupt, highest in history. People are angry, and they think the system is not working, and they're mad at both parties, and that's going to have very real consequences. This is not the 2020 environment.
Right. And we shouldn't overstate, and they don't like Donald Trump. Most people don't like Donald Trump.
They do. More people, Donald Trump, for all the crap about Joe Biden's favorable ratings, they are better than Donald Trump's.
For most working class people, this isn't working. Like, we should just get all that out there. But again, an election in 2020 that was decided by 40,000 votes across 3 states, it doesn't take much. So, for all the silliness and pointlessness of the Republican debate, who seems to be the most likely nominee, Donald Trump, is out there and is, going to be as tough to beat as he's been in the last election. So everyone should get to work. VoteSaveAmerica.com. Okay. We were going to call Tommy, who was going to go to the debate, but Hannah wasn't feeling well, and he had to stay home and take care of Lizette. So no Tommy at the debate, which honestly, good for Tommy.
Yeah. But yeah. Don't go to the Reagan Library unless you have to. That's an old saying in my house.
Yeah, I think he won that one. We do have a few housekeeping notes before we go. Before you fill up your fall calendar with apple picking. Jesus Christ.
I love it when you read the housekeeping.
Oh my God. I didn't read. Usually I try to read it first.
That's why that was good. That was a good
you
one.
don't need that many apples. Also, Pod Save America's going on tour. There it is. We'll be in D.C., Louisville, Cleveland, New Orleans, San Diego, and San Jose. Make sure to get those tickets before they sell out. And while you're on the events page, don't forget to check out the Love It or Leave It tour dates as well.
Hey, eat shit, housekeeping.
Love It is heading to Atlanta, Asheville, and Chattanooga next with amazing guests like Atlanta housewife Candy Burris, comedians Ms. Pat, T.S. Madison, and many more. Remember, there are apples at the store.
He's got to close the loop on the apple thing. Make the joke work.
Head to crooked.com/events to get your tickets now. Also, listen up. Oh, this is for you, I guess. Listen up, Crooked fans. Tomorrow, but not me, Jon Lovett, will be joining the Friends of the Pod group thread. I love this housekeeping. We'll be joining Friends of the Pod group thread on Discord at 2 p.m. Pacific for an AMA.
2 p.m.
Boy,
Okay, Lovett just learned of this. 4 p.m. It's not 2 p.m. It's 4 p.m. Pacific.
4 p.m. AMA.
You're going to answer some questions from all of our subscribers and anyone who decides to subscribe after listening to this, which you should if you want to ask Lovett some questions. Head to crooked.com/friends to sign up. And, you get to talk to Lovett, and you also get to be on the Discord for nights like this where we had a great time on the Discord.
Here's the thing. It was a hate watch, but we did it together. Yeah, and that was nice.
Yeah,
I love the way we just throw around Discord as a term.
Again,
be on the
I
Discord.
don't know, it's a group chat if you're old like us. It's a group chat. Yeah, that's all you need. All right, everyone. We will. I guess we got an impeachment hearing on Thursday. And then the government may be shut down by the next time we record.
It's almost midnight Saturday.
Saturday. So when you hear from Lovett and Tommy and I on Tuesday, we could be in a government shutdown. A lot of news.
A lot happening.
We'll talk to you then. Everyone have a good weekend.
Bye, everyone.